Good morning, everyone. I'm Kathy Hughes. I'm your district director, and I'm also your room monitor this morning. Our speaker today for our fabulous keynote this morning is a volunteer, so please thank her by providing honest and useful information to the survey at the end of the session. If you miss it, don't worry, we'll drop it into the chat toward the end of the session as well. And at the conclusion of LACE, if you're not speaking, please remember to keep yourself on mute and avoid that background noise. We have a fun and interactive session today. If you see the speaker and you want to make the presentation smaller, you can drag your window to the left. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce our speaker. Pat Johnson is a sought-after keynote speaker, an educator, an author, an ontological life coach, and a mentor. Her Toastmasters leadership service includes International President of Toastmasters International from 2010 to 2011. She was also Region 10 advisor in 2020 and 2021, and Region 2 advisor for 2021-2022. Pat joined Toastmasters International in 1983 and was in rural North Manitoba. During her 4 decades of continuous learning and membership in Toastmasters, she has spoken in a long list of countries around the world as a keynote speaker and an educator. Her professional career was in adult education within the corporate government and not-for-profit sectors the corporate government and not-for-profit sectors. My mouth is a little slow this morning, where she was responsible for providing training needed to support employees. Pat wrote and published Building and Sustaining Vibrant and Sustainable Toastmasters Programs in Corporations in 2018. She is also the recipient of Toastmasters President's Citation Award, which is awarded for outstanding leadership and communication on a global level. Currently, Pat serves as the special events coordinator of her home club, Rise and Shine number 331 in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you so much, Kathy, and welcome members of Founders District. Thank you so much to Jean and Kathy and the district team for inviting me to have a time to speak with you today about something that I'm very passionate about, both personally and as a member of Toastmasters. And I hope that you're passionate about it too, given that you pay money to be here and to be in our education program. And that very thing is our education, our personal growth and development that we get to experience in this supportive environment where we all learn together. And the beautiful thing that I love about Toastmasters is that we're all different. We've all come for different things. We reach our goals differently. We have different goals, and we support one another differently. Some of us are intrinsically motivated. We're just on fire all by ourselves. And other people want to be extrinsically motivated, where they want encouragement, they want recognition. And so it's all perfect because we're all different, and that's the way the program is designed to work. So I want to know a bit about you, because your club officers and your leaders or communicators in training at the very least. So the first thing I want to know is if you're willing to write in the chat box for me, what is the one main reason that you joined Toastmasters? Now, let me challenge you a bit. Don't just write to become a better communicator. Tell me what caused you to come to Toastmasters. Like, did a friend tell you? Did a boss send you? Did you have a failure? Were you embarrassed? Were you afraid? What was it that caused you to come to? Okay, Julie said to eliminate filler words. So I suspect Julie didn't find that out by herself, because I know mine. I don't hear mine, but everybody else hears them. So to learn to shut up. Rebecca, I love it. I have a friend who just joined Toastmasters who said she wanted to become a better listener. She never pauses. She just always telling us everything she knows. And what we know, well, at least I know, is that it's difficult to learn when you're busy telling everybody how much you know. So perfect. Let me have a look at some other ones here. It's going so fast. My boss wanted me to be a better presenter. Kathy, fantastic. So many people get referred. And so when your boss sends you, I would suggest that then you have to start and set your personal goals, but also in coordination with your boss, because what do they expect? Might not be just what you want to do. This extreme introvert wanted to learn to interact. Oh, Diana, I so relate to you. I showed up in Toastmasters because I was afraid. I was terrified of going into a room where there were people. So I needed some kind of help. Some thought it was therapy, but my form of therapy ended up being Toastmasters because I had the good fortune of somebody saying, hey, you should join Toastmasters. And I went, what's that? They said, come along and see. And so 9 months later, I'm not fast off the mark, you'll note. 9 months later, I went to my first Toastmaster meeting, and I've been there ever since, because I still as a 44-decade student of this program, have anxiety when I am going into big crowds or presenting to a lot of people. Yes, I've developed skills. Yes, you've developed skills. But there's still work to do, at least for me. I'm a work in progress. So thank you for being here, Diana. And I hope your screen is on. I can't see you, but I hope this extreme introvert has your screen on so that we can see you. It's good practice. GK said to stand uniquely within my team, to stand unique within my team. Okay, I'm not sure what that means, but we'll maybe hear more about that later, because that's curious. Dinah, to support the organization's new club. Okay, so it sounds like you are taking on a supportive role of something you might not have chosen yourself. Interesting. Let's have a look at that later. I was searching for a program for women in tech to present properly. Okay, AJ, thank you. And we know that you're busy practicing in Toastmasters all the time. Victor, I wanted to learn to become a better negotiator to buy a car. I love it. It's so practical. And yet, who would, when we sell Toastmasters, think, oh, you should come to Toastmasters so you can get a better price on the car that you're buying, or the house, or whatever else is negotiable. But I love it. Thank you. Robert, to meet new people, to expand my horizon. Okay. Marcus, I was getting rusty because I was not speaking as often as I had been. Okay, fantastic. Looking for opportunities. Jean, to improve our team dynamics at work. Alberto, I saw our company had a chapter or club at our local office, and I wanted to learn how to speak better without losing my train of thought. Well, I should put that on my goal list for next year, because I certainly lose my train of thought. Anybody else need to sign up for that class? How many times we never finish our sentences? Absolutely. KO, to overcome anxiety and communicate clearly and concisely. And Angelina, I'm a social media coordinator at the center. We do our meetings, and I sat in as a guest and loved it. It's a way for me to express my creativity apart from a busy school day. I love it. Creativity. So as we're looking at these, this is just not passive activity. This is for you to identify, wow, I did that too, or I gained that. So think about how this applies to you also. Simone, I joined to fulfill my goal to join Toastmasters after retirement, but after joining, I realized I should have joined when I first heard at 21. Rebecca, I lose the whole railroad. Okay. I'm not sure what that means, but maybe you can explain that in a few minutes. Marty, to overcome the fear of speaking in front of others so I can motivate people in the area of education. You know, this is a field I worked in, Marty, and It is. It's about motivating and inspiring people to learn and engage, and I love it. My Toastmasters career went from presenting to becoming a facilitator to becoming a trainer of trainers, and then running the training departments, all because of the Toastmaster experience that I had. But it also forced me, because of the experience in Toastmasters, to go back to school over and over again for other skills to keep building my career. And so Toastmasters is a fantastic foundation for us. Whatever brought us to Toastmasters, I just suspect, and I ask you, is it why you're still here? And if you haven't reset a goal, is it relevant? What are you doing here today? Why are you still here? Now, hopefully it's not because Kathy and Jean told you you had to come. Or you're friends with somebody and you wanted to see them and you couldn't get a hold of them otherwise, because they're always at Toastmasters. Let's see what Vanessa wrote. I learned about Toastmasters after presenting to an audience of 250 plus people. A colleague said, "You present very well, but don't say a lot of ums and ums. Are you a Toastmaster?" I replied, "No, is this really big with Toastmasters?" Okay, Rebecca, the train of thought. I lose the train of thought. Okay, the whole railroad. I got you. Thank you for clarifying that phrase I didn't understand. Mary Berg says, "I'm bossier and noisier." Well, depending on where you started, Mary, that might be very good. And if you let people walk over you before and you didn't make any sound about it, then you're way better off now, I would suspect, than you were then. So why I'm asking you this is because I want you personally to be in touch, and thank you each one for sharing why you came and thinking about that. Because I believe, certainly from my experience and my journey, is that it's critical to be connected to why we're here. Toastmasters isn't a place to come in, hang your hat and just hang out. I would hope, well, I know for a fact that I haven't been hanging out in Toastmasters for 4 decades. I signed up to take a course. When I signed up, just as you did, I signed a Toastmaster promise. That was a promise to myself. It was a promise to my colleagues in my club, to my area, to my division, to my district, and even to Toastmasters International, where I was actually going to pay my money to belong to this program. Now, if we look at Toastmasters alongside universities or colleges or schools where we all have attended somewhere in the world with some kind of curriculum, some kind of structure, Toastmasters is no different. Toastmasters was created by Dr. Ralph Smedley to be an education program, but he designed it very uniquely, and we all enjoy the benefits of that. But there also lies some of the things we trip over. Toastmasters is self-paced. That means what? To me, that means I have to set my goals. I have to make sure that I sign up to do my assignments. I'm responsible for finding my mentor. I'm responsible for talking to the area director. I'm responsible to talk to our club executive if I have an issue. I'm responsible to do my assignments. All of those things become my responsibility because I chose a self-paced program, as did you. So my question for you to think about at this moment is, are you running your education program? Or are you sitting in the back seat of the classroom doing nothing, hanging out? And if you're in the back seat of the classroom, I'm going to invite you to come to the front of the room with me. And let's learn what we paid to learn. Let's get into the assignments. Let's get the projects done. Let's interact with our colleagues that are there. Let's learn from one another. One of the things that I get asked often is why do you show up to club officer training? And I do because I'm a club officer. I've never missed a training in 4 decades when I was an officer. People say, why would you go? There's nothing new there. It's so boring. I said, but that's an attitude. That's not the reality. That's your perception. Because just check around the room, there's other people that are fully engaged. So if you don't engage, then it's boring. Just like any class, sitting in college, sitting in university, it's boring. You can say you hate the professor, you hate the lecturer, but you paid to take the course. And so you're going to do your homework and you're going to pass the class. Well, Toastmasters doesn't have a pass or fail. So there comes another responsibility for you to set your standard. And so I want to know, what is your standard? Like, what is your personal goal to achieve this year? So we know why you came, know why you show up in Toastmasters originally. What is your personal goal this year? We're only in January. We've got Toastmasters year has 6 months left. What is your personal goal this year in Toastmasters? So I'll tell you mine to begin with. I'm almost finished one path. I have one presentation left to do in a path, and I'm doing it in 3 weeks when I'm in Galveston. So I'm on the road traveling. I'm from Canada, but I'm going to be in Galveston for 3 weeks. I connected with a club because I want to finish that path. It is my goal. So I, as a student, am motivated to get my classwork done, to make sure that my club is successful also because I'm part of that team. So write in the chat box what your goal is before June this year. Oh, and I have another path that I want to complete. So I have 2 paths that I want to complete this term. And most of that time I'm on the road. So I've got to find places to show up. Okay, Rebecca wants a triple crown. Okay. Mary Berg, I want 100 people to do their HPL and I'll help. Okay. To facilitate a smooth officer transition for our club and start a new pathway. Marcus, how far are you going to start? What does start a new pathway mean? 1, 2, 3? What are you going to do to start? Can you unmute and let me know?
Sure. I need to get my pathway switched over because I picked an incorrect pathway, and then I want to start my speeches, should be able to get the level 1 done at least by June.
I love it. Thank you for publicly declaring that, and we can hold you accountable for it. I love it. I hope somebody made a note of what Marcus is going to achieve, and Marcus also made note of what he's going to achieve. Thank you so much. Diana, to earn my 3rd DTM, and I don't know if Diana was your first one in Pathways, was your second one in Pathways? Is this your first one in Pathways? What is that? Diana? Are you able to unmute and share?
She put in the chat.
Pathways DTM.
Oh,
It will be.
okay. Fantastic. So a new way. Lots of people haven't figured out how to get to a DTM yet in Pathways. And so congratulations. And I hope that you've got an end date for that. I'm assuming it's June 30th this year, and that your district will be able to acknowledge you for your DTM and celebrate that accomplishment, as well as you. Make sure that when you achieve your personal goals, that you reward yourself. Do something as a reward for your goals. We as human beings, we just click them off and then we go, oh, I'm on to the next thing. And somebody will say, oh, that's fantastic. Oh, it was nothing. Yes, it was. I encourage you as a learner to acknowledge, have a graduation, have a celebration, have a party that you achieved your 3rd DTM. Bring muffins and coffee to your Toastmaster club. Bring a celebration cake to Toastmasters and celebrate with your team that you've achieved something recognizable and certainly worthy of recognition. Some people, most people in Toastmasters will never achieve 1 DTM. So Diana, talk to Jean, get my email, and send me an excited email when you get your third DTM. I want to raise a glass to you. I want to say hip, hip, hooray to you for doing that. Paul
you,
said,
Pat.
learn something. Pardon me?
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Paul wants to learn something new every meeting. Paul, we're in the same camp. One of the things that I know when I show up is somebody's going to give a speech that's going to engage me. Somebody's going to give an evaluation in a way that I've not heard before or that I find intriguing. There might be a simple word of the day that's introduced in the grammarian role that I've never used frequently before and that I want to incorporate. So when we go with that learning attitude, the world looks different. Get my first book published before year end, launch my Beacon for Hope Network podcast in 2 weeks, and get my 2 DTMs in Pathways and have 3 paid speaking events. Now, this sounds like a man who's got written goals already, because I don't think Douglas came up with this when I asked the question. So thank you, Douglas, for sharing that. Kathy, 4th DTM. Send me a note, Kathy. I want to know that you're there. Grow our club with 8 new members. Dinah, I love it. So I'm assuming that there's a plan with the whole club, because you can't do this single-handedly, and that you've got a strategy. You've got some public relations, you've got some actions going on to get those 8 new members, to bring them in, to convert them, to get them oriented. It's a lot of work. It's a short little sentence there, Dinah, but it's a lot of work. And thank you. That would be fantastic. AJ, to help my club be successful, excellent clubs by modeling the projects and complete levels 1 to 3 simultaneously. Wow, okay. I love it. Dinah, complete engaging humor path. Congratulations when you get that done. One of my mentees is working on that one, and I feel totally incompetent to help her. Not my strong point. When we had, I tend to carry humor projects around until they're worn out, and then I put them through the shredder and say, I've done it. Only shredded it. Great. My goal is to become a better leader and use humor to connect with others, Victor. Grow my network, because everyone in my club has a unique background where I can learn new skills. Finance, business, consult. Yes, and this is something else that happens in Toastmasters. When we have the mind of a learner, and if you're paying tuition to go to school and you've enrolled in this self-empowering, self-directed learning vehicle, look around you, learn all that you can. Don't keep yourself restricted to what's happening on the agenda. Meet up with the people that are doing things that you like to do. Meet up with the people that are doing things that you might want to become. So when I was in Toastmasters early, I saw people that were doing things that I aspired to do. Guess what I did? My great aunt always told me to hang around with the people that you want to become. So when I saw leaders in Toastmasters, even when I was a brand new Toastmaster, I got really curious about what they were doing. And so I started signing up so that I could get access to what they were doing, because I wanted to become what they were. Not who they were, but what they were. I wanted their roles. I wanted their learning. I wanted their experience. And so I looked around Toastmasters and I went, what a wealth of information and learning we have access to. First of all, I joined my club executive, and congratulations to each one of you for taking that step. If you are on your club executive, think of all the skills that you're building. I know some of you got told, some of you got appointed, some of you got anointed, some of you got your arm twisted, and some of you actually said, I signed up, I took the Toastmaster promise, and I'm here to learn all that I can learn. Regardless of how you arrived in that position, let me challenge you. Grab a hold of it, take it in your teeth, and shake it for all it's worth so that all the learning falls out of that experience. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time sitting back, hanging out in Toastmasters, sitting in the back row of the class, doing nothing. Challenge yourself. How good can you be? Can you be the very best education VP that ever was in your club? Could you imagine people in years to come going, remember that Ed VP we had? Wasn't he amazing? I think his name was, Victor. Do you remember Victor? And then everybody goes, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. What I'm saying is that whenever we take on roles in a learning environment, we create our own reputation. I don't know if you've thought about that, but I'm going to ask you, how do you want to be remembered? Think about it for a moment. You've taken on the role. You've said, I'll do the learning because I don't necessarily know how to do it. I'll show up for training. I'll get what I can. I'll stay curious. I'm going to be hungry like good team players are. I'm going to learn all I can about it. I'm going to read the manuals. I'm going to figure out what my roles are. Then I'm going to figure out how to do it. I'm going to find myself a mentor. Not somebody that hasn't done a good job, but the best mentor I can find. Why wouldn't you want to learn from the very best? Let's go back to the analysis of college or university. Did you ever, in your schooling experience, choose the worst professor that was in the school? How many of you actually signed up because the best professor that you've ever experienced was teaching class after class? Me, I had a professor like that. His name was Dr. Arthur Ridgway. He was autistic, and he could not read or write. He had a PhD. Let me repeat that. He had a PhD and he could not read or write. He taught, he was the most brilliant, gifted teacher I've ever been exposed to, because he learned how to do things without all that. He had people read to him so that he could learn. And that's how he taught. And I was sitting in class one day and I was struggling. I was studying conflict resolution with him. And there's a step-by-step process in the model that we were testing out. And I said, I can't tell if I'm at level 2 or level 3 of this negotiation or conflict resolution. And he said, stop. Get out of your head and listen to your body, because intuitively, you know where you are in the process. He said, just listen to the people, engage with the people, and they'll move on when they're ready to move on. For me, that was my professor. I signed up for every course he taught because I learned like he learned. Now I can read and write, and I didn't have the obstacles he had, but I do things by feel, and he got me. So find mentors that get you, and they help you become the best club president. Imagine leaving the legacy in your club as the president of a President's Distinguished Club. Imagine the celebration you could have. Now, you can say, well, that doesn't mean anything to us. But let's unpack that for a moment. And what does that really mean? When I know a club has been President's Distinguished, let me tell you what I know that means. And I know Kathy could answer this. I know Julie could answer this. I know Jean could answer this. AJ could answer this. And many of you could answer this when we unpack what a President's Distinguished Club means. But let me tell you the things and the opportunities that we have when we aim to have a President's Distinguished Club. First of all, we know that you recruit successfully and retain your members. That isn't a simple action. That means that you do great orientation when they join, because they stay there. If they're not oriented well, they leave. So put that on your list of things to do if you're on your club executive. Make sure you've got a strong orientation, both to the Toastmasters structure, so they understand all the opportunities, how Toastmasters is set up and works, but also to our curriculum and our achievements, and so that they can get recognition and work the program. I know for a fact that there's strong supportive teamwork that happens in that club, not just on the executive, but every member in that club is engaged and knows where they're going. They've got a vision that they've articulated and people have bought into. People are wanting to be President's Distinguished. They want that to be their reputation. They want to be the very best club in the district. How many of you, raise your hands, how many of you are in the top 10 clubs in your district and know it? How many people? Okay, let me just check across here and see how many. Hold your hands up. If not, why not? And congratulations to those of you, there's not very many hands up. Congratulations to those of you that are in that elite group. Congratulations. My home club, I belong to because it's been a President's Distinguished Club with 2 years of exceptions when it was select for the past 25 years. That is not because we have a strong president every year. That is not because I am in the club. That is because every single person that joins our club has a strong orientation, gets scheduled for their icebreaker soon, gets positive feedback and an honest evaluation that asks them to do something more than they just did, so that we create this learning environment. We have social times together. We have a mentoring program. As soon as somebody signs up as a club member, they get to choose who they would like to mentor them. And the mentoring program is alive and well. It's not a title. It's a working position. So do you have that in your club? Do you have a club success plan? And if not, why not? Do you not plan to be successful? If you're not successful, why would I join your club? Because I want to be successful. See, it doesn't cost any more to join a successful club than it does to join a club where nothing happens. So let me talk to you for a few minutes about why it's important to join a club that is successful. Before I do that, are there any other things that you see when we unpack a President's Distinguished Club? What would be present there? So I mentioned mentoring, strong evaluations, speaking opportunities, orientation, teamwork, having a vision, accountability through the mentoring. Anything else that comes to mind that would be a part of a President's Distinguished Club? Camaraderie, absolutely, absolutely. We have coffee after our meetings and we have coffee before our meetings. Yes, you have to have, Kathy, a successful club gives true value. You have to have them working the program. I'll let you in on a secret. Table Topics is not the Toastmasters program. That's not the curriculum. It's part of the activities we do to build impromptu speaking. But the curriculum that we sell is Pathways to build the skills so you're better at table topics. If you don't do any learning, you're never going to be, well, you'll be very slow at getting better just doing table topics, because table topics doesn't get a lot of specific feedback to improve you. And so you're good at 1 minute presentation. Is that going to get you through work, etc.? Yes, John, it meets the needs of members. Absolutely. And that's why you need to check in when you set your club success plan. What are your members achieving? What do they want to achieve this year? Given that we're in a self-paced program again, if your club doesn't have a success plan, ask them to do a success plan that you would like to be part of that. You don't have to be on the executive to do it. Empower your people around you. Be a leader. Constructive hanging around time and chat, Mary. Yes, we gain so much by our camaraderie and doing that. Diana, attracts guests. Yes, and what attracts guests but success, right? Don't you want to be part of something successful? I know I do. I want to hang around with successful people, just like my aunt told me, because I can be successful by hanging around with them rather than the people that aren't making it. Commitment to personal and club success. Lori, thank you. Encourage new members to start speaking right away. Yes. I hope that you schedule the icebreakers within a couple of weeks of those new members joining, unless there's exceptional circumstances. Get them involved. That's what they joined for. And I know what you're going to say, but they're afraid. Hey, how many of us here were never afraid in Toastmasters? Probably very few. I'm afraid all the time in Toastmasters still. And let's talk. I want to talk about fear right now, because this is what, and this is my coach's hat on for a moment, if you'll indulge me. Fear is what stops people from doing things. And because Toastmasters is a fearful place for a lot of people, and we take steps, little steps, big steps sometimes we just fall on our faces. And then we can get up and take some more steps. And then we have a mentor that encourages us, and we take some more steps. All of this is our leadership and communication building process and journey. And you're worth it. You get to determine that. Nobody can force you to do something that you signed up to do. But remember, you're a student. And when you started Psychology 101 at university, you didn't know what Psychology 101 was. You might have read some books, but you take the class to learn how. The same principle happens in Toastmasters. We take the role to figure out how to do it. So if you're club president and you decide to be a club president, you go, oh, I can't be a club president. I don't know how to do that. You're the perfect person. As long as you're willing to say, but I'll learn how. I'll go to training. I'll get a mentor. I'm going to talk to our past presidents that were successful. I'm going to read the manual. I'm going to go online and figure out all the things I can do. I'm going to inform my club. And then you're going to set a goal of how you're going to be the very best club president or sergeant at arms or secretary, whatever the role is. And then think, what can you do with those skills that you will build in that role? That's what motivates me. When I started in Toastmasters, it was to walk into a room where there were people and still breathe. That was a worthy goal for me. And after a year or so, I got over that terrible fear of people being in the room where I was. I started doing speeches. I started evaluating. But as years went on, about at year 4, and some of you will have gone through these phases because I believe we do as human beings. We go through phases of learning, and then we get bored and we start to veer off. And then we need another sharp incline of learning to engage us, and then we level off and we start to veer down again. It's a recognized learning pattern. And so know that when you start to get bored, you can stop or you can re-engage and you can set a different goal. So that's why I applaud people that are doing DTMs and trying new things on those DTM paths, because they've re-engaged. They've chosen not to quit, but to do something new and scary. So I did speaking, which was really a challenge for me. Then I became a club officer and I got to go to officer training. I saw a whole world in Toastmasters. And that's the beauty of getting outside of your club and going to officer training as well, is you hear people being an area director. And my response to that, what is it? What do they do? Could I do that? And then I met an area director and I thought, I could do that. And you may have had the very same thought when they visited your club. If you've had that thought, think of it as Psychology 102 and sign up for the class. Become an area director. Figure out what they do. How can you be the very best? Be area director of the year. Have a goal that's worthy of your brilliance and your capabilities. Bring your passion, your vision to that role. And then you can go on to division. You can be on the district team and you're sitting there going, I wouldn't want to do that. Don't say no until you say know what you're saying no to. When I got into district team, I didn't know how to build a team. I didn't know how to build a team, but I figured it out. And at the end of the year, we were calling ourselves the dream team because everybody on the team told me what they needed and how we could do it together. I learned a tremendous amount on the district team. Oh, yes, I know. There's conflict. People don't get along. Well, guess what? You're part of that team. And what's your attitude? Oh, I'm going to quit. It just tells us who you are in life. If you quit in a class, you give up on you. When I worked, the first 2 years I was on the district team, we had tough teams. And there was hard time building trust for me to be new on that team. But I didn't give up because I had a goal. And I didn't run over those people either. And I didn't diss them. I looked at them and said, what can I learn? Because I know that there's positive role models and there's negative role models. Anybody here, put up your hand if you've ever learned from a negative role model. Yep, I see hands flying up. Yeah, we walk away and go, you know what? I would never do that. I'm never going to be that person. I didn't like the way they made me feel. So we can learn, even though it's not the ideal circumstance that we might want on our teams, you're part of the team, influence the team, make a difference there. I want to recommend a book. If you are involved with a club executive, the district team, a team at work, wherever it might be, I want to introduce you to Patrick Lencioni's book entitled The Ideal Team Player. Patrick Lencioni sets it straight on our shoulders that it's up to us. He tells us that as ideal team players need to be hungry. In other words, they want to learn and grow and make things better. And they're getting all that they can and they're squeezing everything out of that orange that they possibly could to get every last piece of drop of juice for them. They're hungry. We are hungry. Are you hungry on your team to be successful and to learn all that you can be? Because if you're successful, your team will be successful. The second trait that he talks about is humble. And what does that mean? What does humbleness mean as part of a team? Lencioni, and you can put it in your own words for you when you go back to your teams and look at this. Lencioni says it's about putting the team first, that you're part of the greater good, that you're part of, not the only thing in. And so being humble, looking at what's the best for the team, not this would be the way I want it, but what would work best for us? How can we help our clubs be presidents distinguished? What do we need to do to get those pronouns different, to get that vision for the team and from a place of humility? And the third thing he says that ideal team players must be is smart. Now think about that. Why would you have to be smart as a member of a team? Why do you think he would want you to be smart, or why I would want you to be smart on my team? What does that mean to you? Just put it in chat quickly. I want you to be smart as a team member. Well, I'm not seeing anybody write anything, so I'll tell. Oh, as in SMART goals. Okay. Empathic. Yes. Empathic, Mary, is what he's talking about. Lencioni talks about the SMART he talks about as being people smart. And I add a few things to that for Toastmasters specifically. Toastmasters teams need to be process smart as well and program smart. So you have to understand the processes in Toastmasters. You have to understand the program if you're on a team, and you need to be people smart, is Lencioni's word. Absolutely. And being aware of others, their goals, their emotions, styles, etc. Compassion and EQ. Absolutely. Being able to read the room. Yes. And Vanessa mentioned the 5 dysfunctions of a team. That's another favorite book of mine. Those 2 books sit on my desk this past year, and I love them. I speak to them often. 5 dysfunctions of a team. And this is another book that's a great resource for your teams in Toastmasters and at work. Lencioni, just very quickly, talks about the first level of team is being totally went blank on that. That is so crazy because I talk about this all the time. Anyway, look it up. It's worth looking at. There's 5 levels. The second level is having difficult. The first level is trust. You have to build trust. It's the foundation of everything in a functioning team. Cannot achieve anything on a team without trust. The next one is having difficult conversations or dealing with the conflict. You have to have those. There's nothing wrong with them. Don't be afraid of them. If you've got trust, you've got relationship, you can have those tough conversations. The third step in a highly functioning team is commitment. Everybody makes a commitment to where you're going and moving together. The fourth level is accountability. Hold one another accountable. In your club, if you've got President's Distinguished Club as a goal, hold one another accountable for how you're getting there. I was at my club executive meeting yesterday morning, and we just had a meeting about where we were in our goals to meet President's Distinguished again and things that had to be adapted for the next 6 months. Check in, hold one another accountable. Finally, the ultimate result is that you get results. And so I encourage you to look up those 2 resources, working in your teams at club, executive, etc. So I want to end with just talking very briefly about fear, because I mentioned it, we all experience it. Fear is a very interesting concept. If we have a circle like this, and let's say within that circle, this part is our comfort zone. That's where we're really comfortable being, inside that little maroon box. And as we build skills and have experience, our comfort zone expands a bit. But there's all this stuff out here that we're uncomfortable doing that's not within our comfort zone. That may be being a club officer. That might be setting really bold, strong goals. But be bold and be strong about it. Get help and get support to get it done. But outside that comfort zone is where we want to be all the time in life and in Toastmasters, because that's where we grow. Outside of our comfort zone is what we call the realm of possibility. That's where things happen. And so I want to leave you with this challenge. Are you challenged and scared or frightened or fearful in your club? Not for your safety, but are you nervous when you get up to present? Are you challenged by the general evaluator to be a better evaluator? Are you challenged on your district executive to raise the standard and be a stronger club than you are? Are you challenged individually to step up to district leadership so that you keep growing? If you are fearful, then you're in the perfect place. Step outside of your comfort zone. Don't give up on you. Dream big, dream bold, get strong help to move to that level of possibility. Step out of that comfort zone and go into that realm of possibility where you can have a President's Distinguished Club with an empowered, dynamic executive membership, you being part of it. that you can reach your speaking goals, those new set goals, those professional goals, those personal goals, those goals to contribute to your community, whatever you wish to do with the skills that you learn here. Step out and step up, and don't be afraid of who you can become and all that you are. And don't be afraid to be a fully engaged Toastmasters student. No excuses. No excuses. You've got what it takes. And somebody, or even more than one person, is watching you. It's your reputation. It's your legacy. And it's your life. And you can make it your learning. No excuses. Over to you, Kathy.